welcome to episode 20 of the What Shara Made podcast. Thank you for joining me if you're a new viewer, and welcome back if you're a regular viewer. It hasn't been that long since my last podcast, and I've been knitting reasonably monogamously because I wanted to finish something so I can wear it tomorrow. But I've been catching up on a few things. I've got a couple of whips happening and I might just dive straight into them. My hand spun socks. You might remember these from multiple previous episodes because they've been a whip for a while. They were a whip and then became a hoe, half object, because I finished one of the socks and then I unravelled that whole sock and began again. Well, I now have one sock. Woo, yay! Get a bit of an idea of the texture, it's pretty nice. And then a half sock. Woo! Yay! I've turned the heel and I'm just starting the gusset, You may recognise the stitch pattern as being from the Blueberry Waffles sock pattern. I haven't actually used that pattern, but that's the same stitch pattern that is used in the Blueberry Waffle sock pattern, so I'm just calling them Blueberry Waffle socks. I'm loving working with this yarn, and I cannot wait to spin some more sock yarn. Yeah, I think it might be my favourite thing to spin. It would appear that I'm naturally a fine spinner. I do struggle to spin thicker yarns, so spinning sock yarn is ideal. I don't know how apparent this is going to be on the screen, but I've used the I've Partridge heel, and this pair of socks I think may have been my first attempt at that, possibly my second. Anyway, I love it, it's beautiful, that I've Partridge heel pattern. I don't know if you can see, there's a distinct difference between these two socks, and not just the colour, but the texture. And I don't know if maybe partway through the spin my spinning technique changed, and so this second half of the ball is significantly different, or if it's because this sock had already been knit into a sock and then I unravelled it and knit it again, and that can change the texture of the yarn a little bit. Hopefully it'll be resolved after blocking. And you also may recall that after I knit this first sock, that's when I weighed my yarn, because I'm an idiot. I should have weighed it beforehand, because this sock, my finished sock, weighed more than my remaining yarn. So I was going to have to make the second sock using less yarn than I made the first sock, and only by about 3 or 4 grams, but still that can make a big difference in a sock. So I started the heel process about an inch earlier than I did on this one, and I'm hoping that that little bit there will be enough to cater to my accidental uneven yarn distribution. But I'm loving it. This is so beautiful, this yarn. I don't know if it's probably just going to blow out if I bring it up here. Yeah. So it's pretty nice, and it's so soft. It's really nice. And that was some fibre that I got, I believe, from, yeah, I did. I got it from the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show last year, but I can't remember from which vendor. Whoever you are, I hope you're there again this year because I want some more. So that's that whip. I hope to have that finished reasonably soon, because I'm going to do my little weather report now. It relates to why I need those socks finished soon. Those socks are extra warm, just like anything knit in hand spun, and I need extra warm socks at the moment. You know how I've been whinging about how autumn hadn't really arrived. It was still hot. It was still t-shirt weather. We'd had like the hottest April night ever on record. I'm like, yeah, I know, it was boiling. The weather's been really warm. This week, finally, Mother Nature must have got the memo and realised, oh yeah, it's just about winter. Well, winter starts this week, and it's finally starting to feel like it as well. Last night was very, very cold. It was below zero here, and it's still on, it's the afternoon now, and it's still only 4 degrees. So that's Celsius. It's pretty cold, and I want some extra warm socks to make my feet nice and cozy. And my next whip is also a pretty long languishing whip, but it's almost finished. Almost finished. My poor old lacy baseball tee with my prickly yarn. Now, lots of people have given me advice about my prickly linen yarn. However, maybe I didn't explain it properly. It's not the yarn itself that is prickly, and when I hold this fabric here, it's nice. It just feels like a nice cotton linen blend fabric. It's fine. The issue is, and I know that linen yarn can be a bit crunchy, that's totally fine. It's not crunchy like that. The actual problem is that there are prickles throughout, like individual little prickles throughout the yarn. It's not part of the yarn as such because I can pull them out. It's like when you're using very lightly processed wool and there's veg matter in there, and sometimes you get it in Noro actually, you pull out little prickles, little burrs and stuff. Well, this yarn's just full of prickles. And I spend a lot of time pulling them out, and that makes the knitting slow. And I'm really concerned that any little bits that I haven't caught while I've been knitting it have obviously just been knit into the top, and they're going to be prickly when I wear it. And because it's a t-shirt, you're probably going to be wearing it. I'm probably going to be wearing it against bare skin, so that's, I don't know if you can see that there. It's like, wait, how am I going to get this to show up? It's like this, see, it's like prickles like that. It's really coarse, hard bit of plant matter, and that's the issue. So lots of people have given me excellent advice on how to soften up linen, but I think they're thinking of regular linen, that the actual yarn itself is crunchy, and I know that softens up with wear and washing and stuff. This is a different issue altogether, but I'm hoping it's not really going to be an issue. Oh God, I just keep seeing all these prickles. When it's finished, because it's almost finished. So the body of the top is done. Woo! Yay! Woohoo! There's the other armhole there. So it's done. It's still hanging on the needle because there's live stitches up there that I'll be knitting on hopefully sometime today. And then, sorry, I'm a bit tangled here at the moment. Then, sorry, it just fell on the floor. Here's one of the sleeves, finished. So it'll be like that. See, it's quite a pretty lace pattern. When I was looking at other people's notes on Ravelry about this pattern, pretty much everyone struggled with the lace pattern, and I think that is because when you first start the sleeve, it starts off in the round, and you do an inch of ribbing, which is easy, no troubles. And then the lace is in the round as well, which is fine. I have no trouble knitting lace in the round. However, the lace in the round is only charted, it's not written, and the chart is, it's unusual, and it's got some extra boxes. You know when you look at a lace chart, and it's like a grid, like graph paper, and the instructions are outlined in each little box, like yarn over or knit two together, SSK, whatever it is. This lace pattern goes over 7 stitches, but the actual lace chart is printed as 8 stitches, and the last column, the 8th column, appears to be knit, refer to a knit stitch. However, that column isn't actually part of the stitch pattern. It's really only a 7 stitch repeat, but it's represented in the graph as an 8 stitch repeat. And I think that is where almost everyone came to grief with the lace pattern, because it's only charted, and the chart is, it's not incorrect, it's just expressed in a very I don't know how to say it, not in a very clear way. And I also fell for it. It took me about 2 rounds, and then I could see that the lace clearly wasn't making any sense, and I wasn't ending up with the right amount of stitches at the end of the row. And that's because I was reading the chart as if it had 8 stitches, because in the chart there are 8 stitches. Really, it's only 7. So I made a photocopy of the chart and cut that 8th column off so I wouldn't accidentally be tempted to try and add that 8th stitch in. Once I got that figured out, smooth sailing, and when you knit the rest of the sleeve that is flat, it's all written, and you don't have a chart for that, so there was no discrepancy. And once I did that, it wasn't too difficult. However, there are a lot of purl two through the back of the loop, and that is not my favourite thing to do at all. I could happily never do that ever again in my life, but I still have one more sleeve to do, so I will be doing that. It's really hard on the hands in normal circumstances, but then with a cotton linen yarn, it's really hard on the hands, but no big deal. It's only a tiny little sleeve. So with any luck, I will have the next sleeve finished today. Haven't started it yet, but I don't know. Now that I know what's going on with that weird chart, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue, and I think the second sleeve will go much faster than the first sleeve. And maybe I'll even get to wear this week. Now, I've got an FO, and you might remember me maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. I was making my mum a birthday present, and I had only just started it when I was filming that particular episode, and it was literally just like a cast on in like 2 rows. And now I've finished it. I ended up finishing it that afternoon after filming because it wasn't a particularly difficult or large knit, but here it is, and it's so pretty. Ta-da! So lovely. And this pattern is by Sylvia Harding, and I think it's called A Rose is a Rose, but I could be mistaken. I will put it along here. And I used a yarn called Savannah by Rowan, and it's a cotton silk blend, and it was beautiful to work with, and it's been discontinued, of course. So you get a pretty good idea of it was sort of a bit of a slubby cotton silk blend, and it was just beautiful to use, it really was. Beautifully written pattern, and I think I might make another one in the future. I really enjoyed making this. It was a really quick, satisfying knit. I did modify it a little bit in the original pattern. There's some leaf details along this edge, but I didn't really fancy those for this particular piece, so I omitted those and just did an eye cord bind off. And in the original piece it also has beads, like up these spines here, up there and up there. And it does look quite beautiful with the beads, but I didn't have the right beads at the time I was making this, so I made one without beads. And I had to steal this back off my mum to show you because, of course, her birthday's come and gone and I've given her this and she really loves it, so whew, that was good. Did I give it to her for her birthday? Maybe I gave it to her for Mother's Day. Anyway, they were both right near each other. So that's that FO. My next FO is one that I'm wearing, and this is an old FO, and if you can see the yoke, oh, there you go. This is taken from a really old Peyton's pattern that they sort of revamped about 5 years ago to match one of their newer yarns, but I haven't knit this out of the specified yarn. I made it with some Bendigo Luxury DK weight yarn. It's pure wool, and I've hand dyed it. This is Midnight and this is Mustard. And it was, you can sort of see the stripes happening. You can kind of see stripes because when I dyed it, even though I dyed them all together in the same batch, they didn't come out quite the same. They weren't really matching. The yellow, I only had to dye one batch of that and it was great. The blue, I had to dye several skeins of it and they all came out really different, like not even vaguely similar. So then I had to do 2 rows from one ball, 2 rows from another ball, and that was particularly time consuming, but no big deal. You knit the body, the front and the back separately, and then you knit the sleeves flat separately, and then you join them all together and knit the yoke in the round. And the yoke was pretty easy, just really basic colour work and nothing complicated, and you've got some shaping at the same time as you've got the colour work, but it's not scary. I've knit this jumper a few times actually, and the first one I made I think was my first attempt at colour work, and I was really worried about it, and when I had finished it, it was all bunchy and like, I'm sure it was like corrugated. And I was really sad. I thought, oh, I've wrecked it. I made this whole jumper and it's horrible. And then I steam blocked it with an iron and it all just smoothed out and laid flat. And it was beautiful. And I was like, oh, okay, colour work isn't as scary as I thought. And I made another one almost straight away after that, but I gave it to a friend. So I've got a black and white one that I made forever ago and I wear it a lot. It's quite beautiful. And this one, and I've got another one that I gave away, and I think I made another one, I gave that away too last year, but anyway, it's a really easy pattern. There is like no waist shaping or anything. It's a bit boxy. It's not particularly flattering, but it's really nice and warm and it looks pretty groovy. And you may recognise this if you're a Spicy Homemaker viewer. That's the Spicy Homemaker podcast with the lovely Melissa. If you are a viewer of that podcast, you may be familiar with the podcaster games. And I was one of the participants in that game, one of the games. And we had to, as part of the games, we had to decorate some little wooden sheep and alpacas and photograph them. And then everyone who was a participant had their picture put in a thread on the Ravelry forum, and they were all anonymous. No one knew who had done which one, and people could vote for their favourite. And my little sheepies and alpaca that I decorated, I actually laid on this jumper flat on the floor and used this as a background for my little creatures, sort of like a starry night kind of effect. And my photo came second, which is good news for you, because the prizes for this particular event were some pretty amazing things. And because I came second, I got the second prize, and it's really good, and it's for me to give away to my viewers. So when that arrives, Melissa is sending it over from the States to Australia, so it might be a couple of weeks, but when that arrives, I will show you, and we will have a very special giveaway for that magnificent prize. So I think you'll be pretty excited. I know I am. But anyway, we'll see that in the future. So this is my old finished object, and now I've got a very, very new finished object. Well, it's 99% finished, and it is so nearly a finished object that I literally finished it less than half an hour ago. And I could have had it finished much, much earlier, but I wanted to include it in my Stash Dash total, and I'll talk a bit more about Stash Dash in a minute. So, you will remember that in the last episode, hopefully, I showed you some handspun wool, and I've finally been brave enough to spin enough to knit myself a sweater out of my handspun yarn. And I wanted to get this cardigan finished to wear to a little fibre festival that I'm going to tomorrow. And I was a bit nervous, thinking, oh my god, am I going to be able to knit an adult sweater in less than a week? And of course I could, because here it is. Here is my cardigan. I'm so excited. I don't know how well this is showing up. Oh, it's just blowing out. But you get an idea of the nice natural stripes that have occurred in the handspun. I wonder if I can get a bit more of a close-up without dunking it in my tea. And so it's pretty nice. I am mad about it. It fits like a glove. It is perfect. When I was knitting it, I was a little bit concerned that it was going to be too small. Thank goodness it is just right. Oh, God. Just like everything I knit, halfway through I had a panic moment where I thought, it's not going to work, I'm not going to finish it in time. But then, next minute I'm like, hey, it's working. So it's got probably bracelet length sleeves, and it's a V-neck, and you'll notice it doesn't have any buttons at the moment because I still haven't attached those, because I literally just cast this off in the last few minutes. And I'm really happy about it. Oh my god, I love it so much. And it is so warm, like it's ridiculous. And I cannot wait to help it make its debut tomorrow at the little fibre festival. Oh my god, it's really nice and squishy and cuddly. So I'm really happy about that. The reason that I just cast that off is because Stash Dash has literally just started. I was like looking at my clock, waiting for it to tick over, and the split second it ticked over, I cast that thing off. I knit the last row and then I cast it off on the button band so that I could include it in Stash Dash. And if you're not familiar with Stash Dash, let me tell you right after I have a sip of tea. Stash Dash is a really fun thing that is run by the lovely Laura and Leslie from the Knit Girls podcast. And the Knit Girls podcast is one of the first ones I ever started watching, and it's probably the one that really got me into watching knitting podcasts. I had no idea that they even existed. And one day while I was looking at something else on YouTube, I stumbled across their podcast and I started watching it, loved it, and then I thought, I wonder if anyone else is doing a knitting podcast. And turns out millions of us are. So that's how I got, that's how I found the Knit Girls. Anyway, they have this really fun event called Stash Dash that they run every year at the same time. It's they're in America and it's run during their summer. And a really big bird just landed on the veranda outside and it's looking at me, hello. And it's ideal for me because I'm in the southern hemisphere and it's just about to be winter here, and Stash Dash runs almost the entirety of my winter, and that's great because that's when I want to get all my woolly things finished because I actually want/need them. So Stash Dash is where you try and finish off all your languishing whips. You try and use up as much stash yarn as possible, but you can use any yarn, even if you buy it specifically to make something during Stash Dash, still totally fine. And what you do is at the end of each piece, once it's 100% finished, you weigh it and calculate the yardage of the yarn that you used, well, meterage, and you can enter your totals of the length of yarn that you have used into different categories. And there's a 3 kilometre category, 5 kilometre, 7 kilometre, 10 kilometre, and a 15 kilometre. I could be missing some, but it's like that. And you just keep adding all the amounts of yarn that you have used in your finished objects during the period of Stash Dash, and they have giveaways and prizes and just fun things where you can all chat and encourage each other, and it's really great inspiration to and encouragement to finish all those things that you have been meaning to finish forever. And last year was the first year that I took part in it, and I knit almost 9 kilometres of yarn in that time, and I knit like a mad woman. Like I literally, I was barely doing anything except knitting, but and other, normal life things, but I didn't waste a moment of my day. Every second that was previously empty was filled with knitting, and that was pretty good. 9 kilometres, that's pretty good over about a 2.5 month period. It's pretty good. And this year I have got a few things up my sleeve that I have been saving for Stash Dash, because you can use whips. So as long as you do some of the knitting or crochet of the piece, it doesn't matter if it's like my cardigan where I literally only had 1 row and the cast off to do, I can still include that total in my Stash Dash. And I've got a half finished blanket that I would love to finish during Stash Dash, and that will count as about 1.5 kilometres of yarn once it's finished. I hope, I predict. So that would be a good contribution to my Stash Dash total. And I've just finished that, which was about 730 metres. I'll have to weigh it and calculate it again, but I'm pretty sure that's roughly what it is. So that's almost another kilometre. And my handspun socks, I'll be adding those to my stash dash total. My lacy baseball tee, I'll be adding that to my stash dash total. And I've got 2 other partially finished blankets that would be brilliant to finish during stash dash as well, so that I can add those. So I'm wondering which category I should enter. Last year I entered the 3K last year, because it was the first time I'd done it and I wasn't really sure how much I could do, and I didn't realise just how much knitting I did in real life despite stash dash, and now I do know. So I obviously far surpassed my 3K goal for last year's stash dash, and I'm wondering if I should just go completely crazy and enter the 10K. I've got so many whips that are waiting to be finished that I could almost finish the 10K if I finished every single whip that I have hanging around the house. But maybe I need to be more realistic and enter the 7K. I don't know. I'll leave it a little while and see how I go, but that's what I've been doing. Now, along with that handspun cardigan, because it was the first time I'd ever spun enough yarn to knit myself a cardigan, I really wasn't sure how much to spin. So I dyed 600 grams, well 599 grams actually, of fibre to spin, and I spun quite a lot, and even once I'd finished the spinning, I was quite concerned that I was not going to have enough and I was going to have to do short sleeves or a really cropped cardigan just to finish it. Well, I obviously overestimated, because I still have all of this left from my total. Like, it's considerable amount. There's a lot here. The cardigan weighs 371 grams and I had 600 grams, so I've still got less than half, but still quite a lot left. I'm pretty pleased with that mileage. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it's a pretty decent DK, and I don't know, I could probably make a kid's cardigan out of it, but I'm thinking I could probably get a vest for myself, like a sweater vest out of it, but do I really want to make myself a twin set? I don't know. We'll see. Another thing about Stash Dash is that you can include spinning in it as well. Obviously I'd finished this spin before Stash Dash started, so I can't include this, but any of my other spinning I can include. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I think that'll be good. So I think I've covered all my knitting whips and FOs and Stash Dash. I'm going to pour myself some more tea from my little thermos. Today, tea time, I'm drinking strawberry and vanilla green tea. Oh my god, it's so good. And I'm using my gorgeous handmade Clay by Tina mug. Love it so much. Oh, that is just the best. So, I have some sewing FOs to show you. Sadly, sewing isn't included in Stash Dash, but never mind. Now, my first one, this is actually a present for a friend. She doesn't know she's getting it, so I'm not spoiling any surprises yet. She doesn't know what's coming to her. So, yes, more project bags, of course. And this, I don't know if that how beautiful is that fabric? Oh my god, I love it. And it's probably not apparent on the film, but these feathers are metallic. They're sort of a metallic silver pearly colour, and this has got metallic pattern on it as well. And then the tie-dyed denim on the bottom. So that's pretty cool. And that's a project bag. It's just got a natural undyed cotton lining. That's for a friend. It'll be jetting its way across the seas very soon with some other little goodies as a surprise for a friend. And then I've got this, my little, I'm calling it a sock box, but I've got a feeling someone else is already calling one of their project bags a sock box as well, so I might have to think a little bit more about a name for this. Sock pyramid? I don't know, it doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? Doesn't matter. So you can see there, it all opens up. And if you sit that on your table or the floor next to you, or on the couch next to you, you can use it like a yarn bowl. So you have your yarn sitting in there and you just knit from the bag, and it keeps everything neat and tidy. And I've used French seams in there. I don't know if that's actually going to show up. So it's fully lined, French seams, nice old zipper, and handle for carrying it around. And you can actually knit socks from that on the go, and I've tried it and it works. So that is one little sock pyramid or sock box or something about socks, but of course you could use it for anything you want. It's not strictly for socks. And then I have this teeny tiny one which could also be used for socks. You see the difference in size. But you wouldn't be able to fit much else in there except for your caked up skein of yarn and your little DPNs. You'd have to be using quite small DPNs to fit in there. This was just a little bit of an experiment to work on sizes and see what size would make the best size sock box. And that's the fabric. It's gorgeous, and I've had that fabric in my stash for so long and I didn't know what to use it for, and this was the perfect project for it. Handle, and it's lined with the same undyed natural cotton. I hope that zipper sounds not atrocious. Sorry for this. And then an even bigger feather pyramid project bag. You can see the difference again in the size. And this one would be perfect for a shawl or a small jumper, a small sweater, and apologies. Same, once again, natural undyed cotton, French seams. And some of these have been made for presents, and some were just an experiment to see how that idea would work out, and some of them are for me. So that's good. But this last one here, this one, made out of the tie-dyed denim chambray, pretty cool, with the handle and the Shara made tag, and once again lined with the natural undyed cotton with the French seams. This one is for one of you, and this is the May prize for the year-long stash busting craft along giveaway that is running in my Ravelry group. So if you're not familiar with that, the requirements are that if you have a finished object that you finished this year using yarn that you acquired any time prior to 2016, then you take a photo of it and put it in that finished objects thread, and once a month, I use a random number generator to pick a winner for a prize, and from that FO thread. And this month, this is the prize. So let me draw that and see who our lucky winner is. And there is presently 125 entries in that thread, and the first 4 were mine or invalid entries. So I've got random number generator. Oh, that's really not showing up. 4 to 125. And let me generate 115. Who is 115? Let me see. So exciting. 115. Oh, it should be on this page, maybe. 17. Oh, I'm so excited. The winner is this gorgeous pair of socks. Oh my God, they're so pretty. They're really beautiful. By Storm Coast. And Storm Coast actually has a podcast as well called The Uncreative Crafter, and that's on YouTube, and you can find her. It's really fun to watch. So that is Jen from Storm Coast. I'm so excited. So this is coming your way, lovely Jen. Thanks so much for entering, and for everyone else, keep entering your finished objects in that thread, which, by the way, is amazing. You should go and check it out. There are so many amazing things in there. I've added so many patterns from that thread into my queue. Oh, it's getting out of control. So this is coming your way, Jen. I'll pop it in the mail this week. If you want to contact me and tell me your postal address via PM on Ravelry, I'll get that sent off to you. Oh, that's so exciting, Jen. I'm so glad it was you. Now, I think I've actually covered everything. I've been filming for a while now, so it's time to cut it off. I was actually worried before I started filming this that I wasn't going to have enough stuff to fill up a whole episode, but clearly I did. I can talk for hours about knitting. So, like I said earlier, tomorrow I'm off to the Hand Knitters Guild of Victoria show. I think that's what they're calling it, but it's I have some so at the Coburg Town Hall, and they have some demonstrations of all sorts of things, and my favourite thing, a market of all the yarny goodness. So I have been stalking their blog for about 2 months now, just waiting for new vendors to be announced, and so exciting. I've got quite a plan of what I'm going to get, and I've got quite a few yarny gifts that I need to find for some special people, and I'm hoping and I'm pretty confident that I will find some amazing things there for them. If I'm allowed, I will try and take a little bit of footage of the show so that I can pop it in the next episode and you can have a look at what I've been up to out in the wild. And once again, so nice to spend a little bit of time with you. I hope you've been knitting or crocheting or doing whatever you want to do while you've been watching this, and of course having some tea. Okay, I'll see you again soon.